Let me ask you something. What if I told you that the secret to absolutely crushing your next race isn't about having stronger legs, but about having a smarter brain? Well, today we're diving into a powerful mental strategy that elite runners use to outsmart their competition and completely change the game. Just think about it for a second. An endurance race is so much more than just a physical grind. It's like information warfare. You're constantly battling the terrain, the weather, your rivals. Every single moment is a decision, a tiny calculation that can either push you ahead or completely drain your battery. And for elite runners, this creates this massive cognitive load. We're not just talking about the burn in your muscles. We're talking about a relentless stream of choices that can exhaust your mental energy way faster than any steep hill. Get this, 180. That's how many micro decisions a top trail runner makes every single minute. It's insane. We're talking everything from where to plant your foot on a slippery rock, to when you should maybe adjust your pace, to how you react when the person next to you suddenly surges. Each one of those little decisions, it just chips away at your mental fuel. So, how in the world do the pros manage this mental marathon? Well, a lot of them use something called the shadow protocol. It's this incredible strategy designed to basically hack your race performance by saving up your mental energy. It's all about running smarter, not just harder. Okay, so the protocol breaks down into two key roles. First up, you've got the wolf. That's the leader, the trailblazer. They're out front, setting the pace, figuring out the best path, and carrying the full weight of every single strategic decision. And then, tucked right in behind them, you have the shadow. The shadow's only job? To mimic the wolf's every move, basically outsourcing all that exhausting brain work. And here's the really cool part. This isn't just some psychological trick. It has real, actual, measurable effects on your body. The science behind shadowing shows just how powerful it is to offload that mental burden. It shows up in the numbers. So take a look at the difference in how hard the race feels. On a scale of 1 to 10, the wolf, who's making all the decisions, might feel like they're working at an 8.5. But the shadow, running at the exact same speed, feels like they're only working at a 7. The physical effort is identical, but just by quieting the mind, the race feels way, way easier. And it goes beyond just perception. It's physiological. The shadow's heart rate is, on average, 3 to 5 beats per minute lower than the wolves. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but you stretch that out over a 2, 3, 4-hour race, that adds up to literally thousands of saved heartbeats. That's crucial energy you're banking for that final push. And this brings us to this key idea, cognitive drafting. You know, we've all heard about physical drafting in cycling, right? Tucking in behind someone to avoid the wind. Well, cognitive drafting is the runner's version of that. You're tucking in behind someone else's brain to avoid the mental drag of figuring out the course. But here's where the real genius of the strategy comes in. It's so tempting to think one role is just flat out better than the other. But that's not it at all. The choice to be the wolf or the shadow isn't about which one is best. It's about knowing your own strengths and choosing the right weapon for that specific fight. So the rule of thumb is this. If you're a sprinter, you've got that killer finishing kick, your best bet is to be a shadow. You save every single ounce of energy, you wait, and then you just explode in those final meters. But if you're an endurance monster, a diesel engine that can go all day, then your job is to be the wolf. Get out front, set a tough pace, and grind those sprinters into dust before they even get a chance to use their kick. And please, don't ever mistake being a shadow for being weak or passive. No way. A great shadow is a predator. You're not just following, you are stalking. You match every surge, you sit right on their shoulder, and you let them do all the hard work. You can break a runner by pulling away from them, but you can also break their spirit by never, ever letting them get away. You haunt them. Okay, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty. You've played the predatory shadow perfectly. Your mind is sharp, your legs feel fresh, and you can see the finish line. How do you execute the final race-winning move? It's a 3-phase attack. For most of the race, like the first 90%, you're in the hunt. Just lock onto your wolf and relax. Then, with about 800 meters to go, you enter the setup. Your wolf is getting tired, but they are still your shield. You stay hidden, don't show your hand just yet. And then comes the kill. Around the 500-meter mark, this is it. You tap into all that saved mental energy and you unleash an absolute all-out surge. You commit 100% and you do not look back. And you see this strategy play out perfectly at the highest levels of the sport.
At the Nike Cross Nationals, the champion Jackson Spencer was a textbook shadow. For almost the entire race, he was just invisible, tucked away behind the leaders, letting them do all the work. And then, in that final half mile, boom, he just exploded from the pack with a kick that nobody could answer.
But all this talk about tactics and winning and podiums, it kind of begs a much bigger question. Does winning always mean you have to cross the finish line first? Or is there maybe a deeper, truer definition of victory? There's this wonderful story from a former Scottish national coach about a little 9-year-old girl. She runs her first race, a 100-meter dash, and she finishes 8th out of 8. She comes back to him totally devastated and says, "I was last." But the coach, he just reframes it for her. He says, "You didn't lose. You ran 18 seconds. You smashed the 20-second barrier. That's your lifetime best." And in that moment, she understood she was a winner. And really, that's the ultimate lesson here, isn't it? As that coach said, winning is being better today than you were yesterday, every day. It's not about the scoreboard, it's about your own personal journey of improvement. So that leaves us with one last, kind of fascinating question. If the real victory is just about being better than your past self, then why even bother competing against other people at all? Why step into that arena? Because you can't get better if you're not challenged. Your rivals, they aren't your enemies. They are the catalyst for your own growth. They create the pressure that forces you to dig deeper than you thought you could, to push past your own barriers, and to ultimately find a better, stronger version of yourself. This whole breakdown of race tactics and the philosophy of winning, it's all based on the brilliant insights from a lecture given by Dr. Alon Hirsch. So next time you're out there, think about it. Are you the wolf or are you the shadow? Thanks so much for watching.